Let's do number 7 first. I meant to put it in a different order. Watch me for a second. I am holding right now where my fingers are, all these fingers. This is the body of the mandible. So all this is your body of the mandible, right? Where my fingers are, the body. Okay?
So the chin?
Yeah, but the whole thing, not just the chin here in the front, it's the whole, like, everything around would be the body of the mandible, including the chin. Now, what did we call the process that holds the teeth before? Alveolar process, good. So this is the alveolar process of the mandible. We saw it in the maxilla up here. Now we're seeing it down over here is the alveolar process of the mandible, okay? From the body, guys, this part going up right here, like this part of your jaw here, this is the ramus. So the part that goes up like this, the ramus. Then this back part of the ramus, where my hand is now, this is going to articulate with the mandibular fossa of the temporal bone. So this is going to be called the, they call this the condylar process. Right over here you can see condylar. So I think I had said this earlier, whenever you hear the word condyle, it's going to be forming a joint. It's going to be part of a joint. So just say this whole back part here is the condylar process. Condylar process. Okay? In the front, there's a more pointy projection. This is the coronoid process. All right, so the condylar process in the back, coronoid process in the front. Then in the middle, there's a notch. That is the mandibular notch. All right, so condylar process in the back, coronoid process in the front, mandibular notch. Now, the last part. Where the ramus here meets the body here, there's an angle. So like on me, I know it would be like back over here. Remember where kind of your jaw changes directions? That is known as the angle of the mandible. Again, you can feel it on you. It's kind of like a sharp, almost sharp kind of curve to it, a point. Right? That's the angle of the mandible right there. Okay? So one more time. This is the body. This is the alveolar process. This is the ramus going up. This back one is the condylar process. This front one, coronoid process. The notch in between, mandibular notch. Okay? Where the ramus meets the body, this angle right there, mandibular angle, or angle of the mandible. Okay? 2 for Raymond. If I said to you mental, what does mental pertain to? The chin. So by the chin in the front, there's 2 foramen in the front, where my fingers are. Those are the mental foramen, right by the chin. The other one is the mandibular foramen, guys. If you go to the inside of the ramus, that mandible, that foramen, right on the inside of the ramus is the mandibular foramen. Okay, so it's right on the inside of the ramus, mandibular foramen. Okay, so those are the landmarks of your mandible. All right, so 14 facial bones we did today, 8 cranial bones. It's a lot of stuff. You got to go over it. You got to go over it. Just the last thing I want to cover. Oh, crap. Hold on a second. We're too far. I just want you to add one thing to the eye socket stuff I have at the end of the notes. Just real quick. So in your notes, we went over all this already. I deleted one thing by mistake, so I want you to add it. So the eye socket, on a practical, sometimes I'll ask you some of the bones that are part of the eye socket. So that's what we're talking about next. The eye socket or the orbit consists of, so the roof, if you see, is mostly the frontal bone. Okay, and I just wanted to show you, here's a good picture of that supraorbital foramen or supraorbital notch. Our models don't really do a good job on that, but that's just showing you a nice picture of that. But anyway, the whole roof is your frontal bone. The floor is predominantly the maxilla, but do me a favor, just add and zygomatic. For some reason I deleted that. So it's the maxilla and the zygomatic. So we're just going to add to that, please. Okay. The medial wall, letter C, you'll see is mostly the maxilla, and then you can see here the lacrimal bone, and I didn't mention it, but the ethmoid bone is in there too. I'm not even too worried about that. But just kind of know that the medial part right here is the maxilla, and here's the zygomatic, the lacrimal bone. Maxilla and lacrimal bone. The back of the orbit we looked at closely is mostly sphenoid bone. Remember the superior orbital fissure was in the sphenoid, the optic canal was in the sphenoid, inferior orbital fissure was in the sphenoid. So think of the back of the orbit predominantly being the sphenoid. What I want you to add is the lateral wall. I deleted that also by mistake. The lateral wall, just put down is the zygomatic bone and the frontal bone. A lot of times people do get hit in the side of the head here or punched or with a bat. These two bones will fracture. So we have zygomatic bone and the frontal bone. They're in the lateral wall. So if you could just add that. Lateral wall is the zygomatic bone and the frontal bone. And you'll see it on the model too. I just wanted to make sure you're comfortable with that.
I'm sorry, you said it was zygomatic and
Zygomatic and frontal. Right up here, frontal. Okay. So listen up. Before you go, in your suitcase, only go the 2 skulls that you took out. Make sure you put the bag with the 4 bones back in. Please put your sticks away. If there's extra sticks, put them up on the top thing here. I'm going to give you back your test. Yep.